Hans led Vez out of the private room, embarrassed. Sorry about that. I thought he'd be more respectful. I'm not that bothered about being turned away again. I mean, I've already faced so many rejections. But Vez couldn't hide his disappointment for long, and he let out a sigh. I'm in an extremely difficult position if I can't find a buyer. They fell silent for a moment, until Hans spoke again. Why don't you enlist the services of a broker? I already thought of that, but I need to bring in a large influx of cash within the next 2 weeks. If I hire a broker and they take their cut, I don't think I'll be able to cover the bills, and they are due very soon. Relax, Vez. Anything's negotiable. It's an option you should really consider. Brokers know their clients well, and I know a woman who might give you a good deal. Hans had a point. Many small-scale mech designers often relied on specialized brokers and dealers to manage their sales and customer support. These salespeople were crafty, and they spent a lot of effort building up a network of customers and other contacts. Their bargaining and negotiating skills were terrifyingly effective, despite the substantial cut they took from each successful sale. They were an indispensable part of the mech industry. That was why Vez allowed Hans to lead him to the center of the room, where a large crowd of well-dressed individuals were exchanging their opinions about their favorite pilots from the day's events. Marcella Bollinger? Over here. Hey, Hans. A stocky, dark-haired woman greeted the test pilot with a hug. How's work? Same old, same old. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'd like to introduce you to an interesting fellow I met today. The woman raised her eyebrow as she looked Vez up and down. You're the Larkinson mech designer, aren't you? My, you've made quite a name for yourself, haven't you? How's fame treating you? Well, it's not helped me much with my current situation. Vez shook his head, finding the woman more approachable than he thought she would be. Hans told me you're a mech broker? I actually have a new mech variant I want to sell. Oh, so you want to talk business? Marcella smiled at him, and her expression reminded Vez of a predator about to capture its prey. For Hans's sake, I'll hear you out, but let's go somewhere quiet first. They went into one of the empty private rooms. Marcella sat down on a couch and patted the cushion next to her. Take a seat, young man. Don't worry, I don't bite. Sitting so close to Marcella made Vez feel uncomfortable. She was dressed in a pristine business suit, and her stocky frame hinted at a military or mercenary background. Her amiable smile did well to hide any malevolent intentions. But Vez was certain she had a mean streak. He studied her closely and noticed a peculiarity in the way her right arm moved. His extensive knowledge and experience of mechanics quickly told him it was a prosthetic. Let's start from the beginning, Vez. What kind of business are you taking part in, and why do you need my services? Vez told her the same story he had told Colonel Huntington. He knew he wouldn't be able to hide anything from a broker, so he also told her about his debt and the interest payment situation. He knew it would give her the upper hand while they negotiated and in any agreement they reached. But he wanted to make sure there were no misunderstandings right from the outset. He was willing to sacrifice a percentage of the profits if it meant building up a solid relationship based on trust. He hoped any brokers Hans recommended wouldn't be too shady. Okay, I see. Marcella tapped her manicured nail on her chin. Lay down the cost structure for me. A mech armored with HRF plating shouldn't carry an extravagant price. If I want to build the Marc Antony from the ground up, it costs 18 million credits. The raw materials amount to about 11 million of that. But I already have a stockpile of resources that's more than enough to armor a single unit. I can scrounge up the rest of what I need for about 7 million from the open market. That doesn't sound too bad. But you've left out your taxes, licensing costs, depreciation of your machines, and so on. Your real cost should be at least 50% higher. Vez nodded in agreement. Those costs aren't relevant to me in the short term. I don't pay any additional costs for my production licenses, and the taxes and other stuff can be taken care of at the end of the year. Right now, I'm desperate for a quick infusion of cash, so I can cover the impending interest payment on my massive debt. That's business for you. At least 90% of all mech designers who go out on their own don't get to make it this far. Production licenses are ridiculously expensive to obtain if you don't have any backing. It's kind of impressive that you've received 2 of them as grants. You're pretty much at the same starting point as designers with a fully original design in their hands, and that makes it worthwhile for me to invest in you. Vez's expression turned hopeful as he listened to her. So you're willing to work with me? Yes, but don't get too cocky. I'm only in charge of the sales. I sell dozens of mechs each month, so I don't have the time to hold your hand. That's all I need. I can take care of myself, don't worry. First, let's talk about your accounting. You need to get that in order as soon as you have the time. I saw you've been awarded privileged status. Make use of that today and contact your planet's tax office to get preferable rates applied to your business activities as soon as possible. Most tax offices tend to stall and put up a couple of roadblocks if you aren't an actual veteran. It's best you get that sorted first, before you're handed a bigger tax bill at the end of the year. Vez nodded in understanding. But Cloud Curtain is in the middle of nowhere, so the tax rates are already pretty good for businesses. Even if I do apply for preferable rates, it's not going to make much difference to my tax burden compared to doing business here in Bentheim. Every credit counts for a startup like yours. You don't want to have a dispute with the planetary government this early on in your career. They can make your life hell if they want to. Vez was skeptical that anything like that would happen on Cloud Curtain, but he knew he needed to take her advice seriously. Second, it might be too early to talk about this now, but later on, you should really find a better supplier for your raw materials. The MTA's internal market is nothing more than a bulletin board for providers to dump their excess resources, and for mech designers to cover gaps in their regular shipments. The reason most resources are so readily available on the market is because the MTA overcharges for them by as much as 20%. As a startup, it's not that easy for me to get the suppliers to take me seriously. That's why I said it's something to consider later on. The open market should be fine for now, but keep in mind that you're needlessly throwing away about 2 million credits for every Marc Antony you produce. Your debt problem could be history if you were to solve your wasteful sourcing. Marcella knew there was no point dwelling on such a tricky issue, and she quickly moved on. As for your variant selling potential, I already have a handful of clients in mind. I'll warn you, though, without a track record, I won't be able to demand much of a premium. Still, I can work some magic here. It helps that you designed your mech with some flair in mind. It almost looks as impressive as the genuine Caesar Augustus. What kind of price are you going to set? Marcella smirked. That's not a very polite question to ask a broker. All I'll say is you'll earn your dues even after my commission is taken into account. I'm not going to like what I'm about to hear, am I?
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.